I'm going to tell you about 4 different ways to draw the ball right now, and in case you wanted to know, drawing especially my mid irons to short irons is my favorite shot. Just a small draw, 4, 5, 6 feet. That's the shot I feel most comfortable with. I feel like if I had to hit a green for my life, so to speak, it would be I'd aim about 10 feet right of the pin. I'd just play it back of my stance about an inch, cover it up at impact a little bit, and just trap a draw right onto the green. That's a shot I can hit in my sleep. It's the shot that really won me the AT&T in 1994 and actually many other tournaments in my career. And it's such an easy shot to hit for me that I have a tendency to overuse it, and then if you don't watch out, your draws start growing. So you don't want to overuse any one shot, I believe. You want to, I remember in the 70s, I used to practice where I'd go straight, fade, draw. You know, balls in a row, straight, fade, draw. Just keep rotating and rotating, and my swing always kept fresh that way. Trouble is, if you hit a fade, pretty soon it's a slice. If you hit a draw, pretty soon it's a hook. It's amazing how they grow, so you got to keep that grow pattern from going the wrong direction, because you just, if you milk a shot too much, it just ends up going dry on you. So you don't want to do that. The 4 ways I go about drawing it, the first one is just your conventional draw, which again most players on tour use. It's the one your club pro probably teaches you. And what you do again, if you find your center point, which when you take your little brush, you can find my center is right in this area here. If I play the ball where that brush is, usually goes pretty straight. Believe it or not, as you move the ball back in your stance, it really just starts going lower and drawing more. It's just the opposite of what the slicer thinks. So when I'm drawing the ball, instead of addressing it in my normal position, which is right here, which is just a couple inches inside my heel, if I'm going to draw it, I always move it back at least an inch, and that keeps the ball, of course, out to the right of the target. You don't want to pull hook the ball. If it starts left and hook, you can't talk to that ball. There's no way it's coming back. So move it back in your stance, and the reason why you move it back is, again, this rainbow. As you move it back, you're in here, you're swinging more inside out. As the rainbow turns in your swing, the more you move it back, you'll catch it on the inside out, and then with the face a little shut, which I'll show you now, it'll go out to the right and come right back. So when I'm going to hook it, let's say I want to start it 15 feet right of the target. What I do is I aim right there, move it back in my stance, you can see about an inch or two, and then now I just turn the blade back to the target, right there, and now swing. I want to swing 15 feet right of the target, not at the pin. I want to swing 15 feet right of the target, and watch this. And you can see this ball is going to end up probably about 6 or 8 feet from the hole, maybe 10 feet from the hole. And that's really, when I'm playing a draw shot, the perfect draw for me, just in case you want to know strategy, if I'm playing a, let's say a 15-foot hook, the perfect shot will end up just like that one, about 6 or 8 feet right of the hole. If I hook it too much, it's stiff. I'm not trying to make that shot end up at the pin. If I hit the worst shot hook of my life, it'll still be on the left side of the green, and I always want to aim it where if it goes straight, if it happened to not hook at all, it's still on part of the green. So that way you walk up to the shot and say, geez, the only thing I can do is hit it fat or thin. I can't get in any trouble. It's a guarantee. So that shot there ended up just the way I want it, just right of the pin, and that's what you should try to do too with your hooks, is just keep the ball just right of the pin, working in. That way if it kicks left or backspins a little left, which it'll do, it ends up sometimes closer than you think. Again, move it back in your stance, hood the face back to the target, and then just swing where you want the ball to start. And it's really not that hard a shot if you learn. I'll give you a couple of drills later on how to pull that off for sure. But the second way of hooking it is more, Chi-Chi probably and Gary Player hook the ball, I think, as well as anybody, and they do it more with a body action. What they do is they move the ball back in the stance just like I do, but like a lot of the senior players, they'll get in here, sort of nice and relaxed, they'll get in here and they move it back here, and then when they hook, they really push their body over this way. And now that ball, as you see, I overdid it just to show you, but you'll notice if you lean this way, if you want to start here and lean this way, you can really hook the ball a long ways. And the advantage of that shot is if you have to hit a big hook, I mean a big hook around a tree or whatever, or get a little more power, the hardest hit in boxing is an uppercut. Boom, like that. And if you want to hit a long drive, like on a 5-par, with your driver, or even a longer iron to a back left pin, you got a lot of green to work with, you might want to think about using a little bit of the, you know, the little guys do this a lot because that offsets the fact that they're little. And the reason why they do it, even in Ian Woosnam, is that they have understand that that is the hardest hit there is. So you'll notice that some of them tee the ball real high, and then they get down low with that right side, and then they hit it this way, and it'll produce sort of a loopy hook, a going hook, and you can get a lot of extra distance if you want to try that. With an iron, you know, like I said, it's more for a bigger hook. You can just barely do it, which I'll show you. This one here, I'll aim about 20 feet right. And do it there, and you can see this ball's coming back to the left. It's working in there just fine, and that's one way of hooking it. It works pretty good. I'm doing it more with my body than anything else. An easy way to hook the ball, at least to get you on the right track, is sort of a Fuzzy Zoeller syndrome, I call it. And that's where you just totally relax. It's just, I try to tell people, pretend like somebody just ran hot oil through your body. Just nice hot oil, like, man, I feel really loose. And you'll notice most of your club champions or hustlers, they walk up to the ball, and you got to be really careful about the guy that walks up to it and he just looks totally relaxed and he has one of these real oily waggles. That guy right there is usually a heck of a player, and he'll probably take all your money if you don't watch out. But if you want to hook the ball, sort of pretend that you're one of those guys with hot oil in you, and just walk up, grip it real light, nice loose waggle, arms just hang nice and relaxed like Fuzzy, and just sort of slop it back, just slop it back, and just slop it through. And you'll notice that ball has a beautiful little draw to it, and it works very nice. It's effortless. A lot of your senior players that are really good players swing that way, and it's just a very relaxed thing. And you'll notice my tempo just stays about the same. If you want it to sort of just to help you along, if you've been a slicer all your life, if you'll play it back in your stance and barely grip onto it, just barely grip onto it, I'm barely gripping on it, and take it back and almost quit it on it, you'll notice the ball has a big old hook on it right back to the pin, just perfect. That's a good way to learn how to hook it, is just totally relax. The fourth way of drawing the ball is the one I use the most. It's the swing thought that I use the most. And it's more of a Peter Jacobson, and Peter does this all the time. He practices this drill where the club is up here and it makes his body go real level. It's a beautiful swing. He just braces and then fires the right side. So it's just brace here and then fire the right side there. And that's the swing that I'm using most of the time on all my shots, because I love the balance that it produces. I love the fact that it's a very relaxing move on my back. If you had a bad back, just really watch Peter Jacobson swing. And a lot of times when I use his swing, it doesn't hook at all. It goes pretty darn straight. And most of the time it produces a draw that's only this big, but it's a beautiful shot. It's a trapping draw. It's a perfectly relaxing way to swing, and I'll hit one here. Barely play it back of my normal brush point, and I just here. And you can see that ball, I mean, it's just barely drawn. Well, those are your 4 ways to draw the ball. They all work. Again, you have to pick the one that maybe clicks in your mind, or maybe experiment with all of them. I've got all of those in my bag, and actually some other ones that I haven't told you about. And drawing the ball really is fun. It's so important to those left pins. It's so important when the wind's blowing, big slice wind like it did at AT&T when I won, huge slice winds. And if you hook that ball, it'll go up into that slice wind and just stay dead straight. And boy, you can really play with that shot right there. I'm going to give you some little drills right now that'll help you guarantee that you will draw the ball on command. And a lot of you that have been slicing for years and years and years will appreciate this little drill I'm going to give you right now. And this is fairly similar to the drill I told you about fading the ball or working the ball to the right. And what it is you get the ball back in your stance, and what you want to do is, before you hit it, is aim where you want to start it, turn the face back, and then what you do is you take a little half swing and cover. And you can see now, see that face is shut? If I can do a couple of those and then get in and quickly hit, it has to draw. It has absolutely no choice, okay? It's a guarantee. And so you can see a good shot right there, just right of the pin, right where I want it. And what I do there is, of course, when I stop, I can see it shut there. And the thing I'm trying to do is get my hand, if this was the wall, when I draw the ball, I want to guarantee it's going to draw. When I come down, I don't just return it on the wall. I actually help it out by turning that right hand down right there. Just turn it down right there. Or you can think left hand. I'm left-handed. You can think at impact that have your palm up. What most people do in the golf swing, and it's natural for you to do it in the golf swing, is they want to pull and this palm's up. When this palm's up, you're going to be a slicer. When this palm's straight, it's a straight shot. When that palm's down, that's a draw shot. You trap it, you get a lot of power, the ball goes farther with less effort. And I really, really want you to work on that drill of palming it down and learning to hit it left and back off if you need to. And that does work. I'm sure you're wondering what the heck I'm doing here with this tennis racket, but I'm real excited right now to be able to tell you some things that you should learn from equating tennis back to golf. And let's go into it right now. I really believe that most golfers, when they put a club down and the head looks small down there at the end of a long shaft, immediately they lose all thought of where they want to return that thing at impact. If the golf head were as big as this racket head, I really believe most of you are pretty coordinated. You'd say, well, if I want to hit the ball straight, I'll just return it straight. That's pretty easy. If I want to cut it, I'll just cut it. And if I want to cross court or draw it, I just turn it in like this. And I give them a racket or something like this, and they'd just say cut. You'd go Trevino, Chi-Chi cross court, square Peter Jacobson, and you'd hit those shots. But the minute you get a golf club in your hand, you forget that it's exactly the same principle. It's exactly the same principle. Remember when you're playing golf, okay? Remember when you're playing golf that when you cross court it, you return it a little shut, so your palm down here, and then it goes up this way. Same with golf. You come down this way with the palm down this way, and then it's up and across. So it's cover, cross. That's your draw. So cover, cross, and the club leans this way. When you cut it, if I told you to cut it in tennis, it'd be no problem. You just go Trevino every time, hit a little cut. That's why the cut shot is probably the easiest in golf, because all you do is the way your muscles line up, you get back here, and when you pull down too fast, it's just automatically a cut. What's hard to do is to get out of that syndrome and realize that to hit it straight, there's a motion in there. And what I saw from Andrew Agassi's tape, it's funny that a golfer will be watching a tape, is one way that they square up the racket and get more speed is in this left elbow. Watch this. I was watching his tape as he gets right here real deep, and see how the elbows point out here, and then where they get the racket speed is that right here the elbow tucks and it crosses a court, racket just whips across. And the same thing happens in golf. A lot of you keep that elbow going straight, and then you end up having to square up the club face this way, and because you do this, you can't get down to the ball because you have all these broken lines, and you top it and you go, geez, I looked up. That's why I topped it. It had nothing to do with looking up. It had to do with your elbows pulling so much, and then you break down here, you can't reach the ground unless you dip down with your head. And so a lot of your tops are because of that reason right there. I like to go into a little bit the wall, and I'll use the racket as another drill. And this wall is the same concept. It'd be like if you're in a doorway or wall, and just pretend that the wall goes down here and here's the wall. And this is a little drill I do, and I just set my hand on there. You see the way my wrist lines up the same as whether it's straight or there. That's why I don't like to grip it this way or something, because it changes the angle of that wrist. And it's a good practice drill to just take it back right here, brace here, and then just fire right into the wall and practice, boom. And then if I want to practice a fade, I'll hit it with this part of my hand a little bit there. And if I want to draw it, I'll cover it this way. So it's really a good drill. Straight, fade, and if you want to enhance the fade, arch down a little. And if you draw it and you want to enhance the draw, you got the cover here with the hand and arch up. So it's arch up with the draw, arch down with the fade, and go dead level for the straight one. Those are all things about impact. Nobody wants to talk about impact. It's amazing to me how you can go to hundreds of teachers and it's the philosophy, well, the ball just gets in the way of the club face. You just swing and it just happens down there. I don't believe in that. I believe in having my PhD of impact and the inch afterwards. And I think that's what you should do too. That way when you hit it good, it's not a big surprise. It's not like, well, my timing's good today. You want to be domineering down at the bottom. You want to know about impact. You want to know how to do it. When you get over it, you know that straight, fade, draw. There's no guesswork. I know it's going to do those things when I do it. Now I just gotta have to learn how to putt. I just can't fade it and hook it putting. That's the problem with me. That's why I'm announcing. I know many of you have the fade down to an art form, but I still would like to show you some different variations that actually different pros use, but I actually use all four of them. There's four different ways I fade the ball. I use the normal procedure, which most guys on tour use. I use a Corey Pavin variation, and then I use just a tempo variation, and then another one I call a Trevino variation. And I'm going to go into those four right now and show you the reason why I have four, because they do produce four sort of distinct flights and come in handy on specific situations. The regular variation, which most of you probably should know because this is the way most people are taught how to fade the ball. If you'll take your normal low spot in your swing, which let's say is right here, and that will produce a straight shot if you adjust it right there. Most fades, the guys on tour play the ball about an inch farther forward than your normal position. What that does is automatically when the ball is a little more forward, your swing has like a center in the middle of the rainbow. The middle of the rainbow is your straight shot. If you move it up an inch, you're already starting to rainbow a little bit left, which helps keep the ball left of the target. And if the face is a little open, it'll work back to the target. The problem is if you move it in the back side of the rainbow and try to cut it, you'll hit a push cut. And you don't want to do that because that's not really what we're trying to do most of the time. Usually the reason why you hit a fade is to, let's say if the pin's right, you want to start it on the middle of the green and work it to the right pin. Or if there's water down the right side, you want to aim down the left and keep it left and work it to the center of the fairway. So the last thing you want to do is sort of a double cross, which is if the pin's right and you want to hit a cut, is start it right and go in the middle of the pond. So that's the reason, one of the reasons why you move the ball forward, to help cut it and help it keep it left so it'll work back towards the target. I always say if the ball is working towards the target, you can talk to it. If it's working away from the target, there's no use saying a thing. It's in trouble. So the first variation, of course, is, like I said, is move the ball a little more forward in your stance. Here's my normal position for a 5. Move it forward in your stance. And what you do is you aim where you want to start the shot. Let's say I want to hit a 10-foot fade. I'll aim 10 feet left to the target, right here, 10 feet left to the target, and then open the club face to the target. And then what I want to do is swing where I want the ball to start. So I'm swinging 10 feet left of the target. But because of the club face is open, the ball will start where my swing plane is going, and the face will produce a shot that'll just go right to the pin. So that's sort of the common way to cut the ball, because that way you don't have to make any adjustments in your swing. The one thing you do try to do is keep the club face from turning over, keep it going squarely, and just the open club face that you've set up at address will do all the work for you. And that's a very simple way to do it, and I'll show you, I'll give you an illustration here. I set up here 10 feet left of the target, open the club face here. I don't change my grip, I just open up the club face, and then just take it up here. And that is an absolute perfect cut shot. That thing is going in the hole right over the top of the pin. And that's a shot that should be in your bag. You should be able to go back to that one as a basic fundamental, that type cut shot. The second variation I call, like I said, it was the Corey variation, and I really picked up that from Corey Pavin, and I watch every player when they're out there on tour, of course, as an NBC announcer, and they all have their little idiosyncrasies. And of course, Corey has this little practice swing that has a figure 8. He brings it in, and then he comes over and he's doing this, and everybody's sort of laughing at it. And the reason why he does that, I ask him, is that he had a tendency when he was younger to slide his hips like this, and when he does this little figure 8, it keeps his hips sort of in a barrel, so to speak, as Sam Snead said, and it also produces a little fade because it's this little figure 8, and it's going inside to inside. And so I thought, well, I knew already that kind of swing produced a fade, but I hadn't really tried it for quite a few years. And so I did try it, and what I found out was this shot, the beauty of this shot is because you come down hard, the ball wants to go up and to the right and has a very soft flight, especially if you're going under a limb that's hanging out there and you want to cut it, hit it under the limb and rise it around the trees and stop it quickly on a green, or just a pin placement that's front right over a bunker, a water hazard, you want to put a lot of spin on it. This shot right here produces a lot of a lot of upshoot spin. It's called I call it sort of an upshoot fade, and it's a very handy shot, and I'll show you how this is done here. This one here again, you could play the ball just about an inch forward of normal, and the big thing is to pull it in quickly to the inside and then come back right over this. It's the same kind of angle. You want to go way in here and you want to come in here. So it sort of squeezes it up that way. And I'll go ahead and show you how this is done. Do my little practice swing. It's a little figure 8 here, just like this. Many of you already swing like this and you're trying to get rid of it, but this works good on this shot. Aim, depending on how much I want to open the club face, aim about 10-15 feet left of the target. And you can see that thing coming right back to the target. Corey would have been proud of that one, right? Almost hit the pin. And that shot there doesn't go real far. You don't get a lot of power like Corey Pavin does because you're sort of inside to inside. But that shot is very effective. And the beauty of it is that when you come this way, it sort of keeps the ball left and works back. You don't have to worry about it getting right of the pin, and that's really important when you got trouble right. The third way of cutting the ball is I just do it with tempo. I play with people in pro-ams all the time, and this is the way they swing. They get up there and they go, run, 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 run. And they just go, I'm gonna kill this thing, and they go, kill! And of course, all day long, they hit the ball way right. I mean, they don't have time to square up the club face because they take it back slow and then fast. Well, that shot doesn't look good, but if people will play for it, it's actually a very effective way to cut the ball, because when you come down that fast and accelerate that quickly, it's an automatic cut shot, and it actually hits the ball pretty far if you do it properly. You just have to aim for it. So this shot here, I aim for a bigger fade. This is if I want to cut the ball a long ways, maybe even 10 yards to 20 yards. I'll just aim 10 or 20 yards left, depending on how much I want to do it. Take it back slowly, fast, and hit it real fast. You see that ball cutting back to the target, cutting back, cutting back, cutting back, and ended up right behind the hole. So that's a good way to cut the ball. A lot of you do that every shot because maybe you're macho or you're trying to kill it or show people how long you hit it. And to be honest with you, you'll find, well, I'll show you later, that that's not the way you hit the ball straight. You can hit the ball straight that way if you know how to do it by accelerating, but you have to be in a different position at the top of your backswing to pull it off. So if you want to cut it, take it back slow and kill. That usually works pretty good. The last way of cutting the ball is the way I learned how to cut the ball when I first went on tour, because I play with Lee Trevino all the time. And his way of cutting it is a little more complicated, but he actually plays a push cut. Believe it or not, Trevino, if there's a pin out there, Trevino's aims about 30 yards left with his body and his feet, then swings about 20 yards left of the target, and then with the heavy shaft angle forward, pushes it to 10 feet left of the target, and it slices the remaining 10 feet to the target. So that's pretty complicated, I know what you're saying, but what he does is, most people when they cut it, they'll start here and return about here. Trevino, he gets way over here, and what he does is he actually leans into it with his shaft angle, which forces the ball to the right and push cuts it. And the only reason why I play this shot occasionally is that it hits a very flat flight. It does not stop well, and that's one reason why Trevino didn't like Augusta National, and that's one reason why he did real well in the wind and won his British Opens, is because his way of leaning into it hits the ball low, and it doesn't put a lot of spin on the ball. It does spin the short shots like the 9-iron and wedges, but what he does, and I used to even copy him, is he would get that foot here and he'd aim way over here, and he plays the ball way forward, and because that foot's out, it enables him to ride into it farther than everybody else. And here's the way he swings. He takes it here, and he leans way into it. You see how far forward I am right here? And of course, that way of swinging is not real great on your back, but sometimes if you want to hit the ball low, and I'll show you how low I can hit it this way, because that foot's out too, that helps you right into it. But if you want to hit a low fade like Trevino, real low, you see that little low fade right there, right at the pin? And see how far forward I'm leaning? It's a very handy shot. So don't be afraid to aim a little bit more left on this one and just lean into it with that left foot out and just hit that low one. Have your front of your body ahead of your body here. Of course, this way hits it high, this way hits it low. And so don't be afraid to try those 4 styles. And you might say, well, why do you need 4 styles when that first one, the regular one, works so well, just moving the ball up an inch, opening up the club face, aiming where you want with your body, opening up the club face to the pin, and then just hitting it. Sometimes, I don't know why, sometimes that doesn't work that great. So if that isn't working, I'll try the Corey. If that one's not working so well, I'll just do my tempo thing. That one's not working maybe so well, I'll try the Trevino. And the beauty of it is I just got so many shots in my bag. And you'll see through this tape here that I use probably more shots than anybody, maybe than except for maybe Chi-Chi. I have so many variations, and I glean them off other people. If I see a guy winning tournaments with a certain kind of action, I'm going to analyze it and a little circumspect there and figure out what the heck is so good about it? Why does it work? And you learn from that by going out on the practice range and trying it. What do you got to lose? Go out there and be creative on the driving range. Try these different variations. One of them might click, one of them might be you, and it'll make a big difference to have that shot in your bag along with several others. So try those, they work. I have one key thought and 2 drills that'll help you fade the ball consistently. The key thought is, it seems to be, if I personally will work on pushing it away with the left hand and then pulling down with the left hand, with acceleration especially, I cannot help but fade the ball. If the right hand gets involved in there, it starts kicking around or doing its thing, I can get in trouble and flatten that shot out or even double cross and hook it. But if that left hand is dominant, pushing it away and pulling down, that really helps. The other thing is I like to draw the ball, by the way. My shot, ever since I started having back problems, I had to learn to swing more level, a little bit more like a Peter Jacobsen type follow through or senior tour follow through. Of course, that's more of a draw type shot. And so I was having trouble, big trouble, fading the ball, and it just wouldn't work for me under pressure. I could do it on the practice tee, but I couldn't do it on the course until one night, believe it or not, in a dream, I had this dream of how you fade the ball. And it was actually with a ping pong paddle, and I was in this dream, and I was thinking, geez, every time with a ping pong paddle, when you cut the ball, I always thought that you cut the ball by just getting up here and just hanging on. Well, that hits a push cut. I didn't know it, but it hits a push cut. That's a Trevino shot, is you just set your angle and boom, hang down and it push cuts. Well, I don't want to push cut it all the time. I was trying to aim 10 or 12 or 15 feet left of the target, and then with this Trevino action, I'd push it at the pin and slice it in trouble. So I was thinking, I relate a lot to my thoughts to other sports, and I was thinking in ping pong, when you cut the ball in ping pong, I'm left-handed, you can think right-handed too, you don't just go like that, but right at impact, you actually arch down to really cut it. If you were in tennis or ping pong and right at impact, if you really wanted to cut it, you wouldn't just go like that, but right at impact, there's an arch down. And I know this has never been written about, and so you might want to try it, because boy, you can really make the ball have upspin and tremendous spin by not just here and going like that, but right down here. Just add a little arch down, and man, you will not believe how it keeps the ball left and works it back to the target. It's awesome, and I'll tell you, that was the best dream I think I ever had as far as golf. The last way of cutting the ball, and really is indispensable, because this proves to you in your mind that it's going to work. And what I do is right before I hit it, I'll just go ahead and aim where I'm going to aim, left of the target, open up the fade, and then I'll just take a little practice swing, and right at impact I'll stop with the face open. I'll go stop, and then I just might stop, and then I'll just get in quickly and hit it, because I've already established I know how to keep the face open. I'm swinging, starting at the target I want, aiming left, and with that face open and that good crisp blow like that, keeping the face square, not letting it fold over, it's guaranteed fade. And that is really a handy little tip too, because it proves to your mind visually that you're on the right track, you're doing the right stuff, because you can do it at impact. The low shot is one of my favorite shots because I use it all the time. I remember talking with Lee Trevino, and he was saying, hey, I like to get the ball on the ground quick. Can't get in much trouble if it's on the ground quick. It can't get offline far. And I totally agree with him. That's why I use the low shot probably 5 times more than the high one. And what you do when you hit it low, it's almost just exact opposite of the high shot. If your normal position, of course, is here, you can move it anywhere in your stance, literally all the way if you wanted to. I've played in 110-mile-an-hour gusts in Scotland, at Turnberry, Scotland, where you just literally had to brace yourself into the wind and just play it here and just hit it about that far off the ground. But you can hit all of those shots off your normal swing pretty much if you learn how to control the club face. And so first thing, obviously, if you want to hit it pretty low, I just play it back in my stance. Here's the normal position. I'll move it back about that far and I'll go about half the height of a normal shot. And you can see you'll have a tendency, for me, just the opposite. Remember I talked about earlier when you hook it, if you move it back in your stance, the ball will hook a little bit. So I have to make sure when I move it back in my stance that I don't hook the ball more than normal. So I have to keep that club face square. So for me, move it back in my stance, do a little drill, keep the club face square right here. And now I'll try that again after that drill. It should produce just a little tiny hook. And that shot there is my bread and butter, believe it or not. Of course, in the wind, and it's my bread and butter on a layup, like on a par 5, I want to lay the ball up in the fairway and get it always straight. I can hit it with that little draw every time. I mean, that's my favorite shot. I used to have trouble with this easy layup shot, but I go with that low one. Of course, it's good for me anytime that wind's a factor, or whether maybe I'm in Scotland and the green is hard as a rock and I just want to hit it short of the green 40 yards and let it run right onto it. Another way that you can hit it low, and I'll just show you. This is a 6-iron, by the way, and how low you really can hit the ball by playing it maybe even off your right toe. Watch the height of this shot right here. And you can see that ball right there, the highest it ever got is probably about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 feet off the ground. And even if the wind was blowing 60, 80 miles an hour, that'd get the job done. And that shot is extremely important. I can hit the ball low and fade it, but it's really difficult for me. And I have to play it back in my stance and leave the face open here and try to see if I can. And there's that shot there, and you can see see how the face was open here. And that's also a very handy little shot right there that you can hit if you have to go around a tree limb, underneath a tree limb, or whatever, and keep it low. Handy shot. Some of the players that you can imitate. Lee Trevino, and the one thing I like about what he does is the more you turn that left foot out, the more you can ride in front of it without falling over. If I took my normal stance here and tried to hit it low, I'd fall down. So when you are going to hit that low shot, don't be afraid to turn that foot way out, and that way you can just ride down the line. Watch how far in front I can get it. I can get way in front of the ball here, and look how far my body's ahead of my hips. You know, we talked about the high shot. You want your hips to get in front of your chest. When you hit it low, it's just the opposite. Another way that you can hit the ball low would be to pick the club up a little quicker than normal. Early set like I do. You don't want to, if you're trying to hit it low, obviously this kind of backswing isn't worth a hill of beans, okay? If you want to hit the ball real low without playing it too far back in your stance, you can just pick the club up quickly down like that. And you can see that ball just jets right at the pin. And so that's a handy way. The last really thing you might want to think about, as I said, Gomez, when he hits it high, big high follow through. Obviously, if you're going to hit it low, it's just the opposite. You'll watch my follow through on these low shots. Watch where it ends up. It ends up. Look where the club is. See how low it is here? It's a great drill when you can learn to keep that club right there. And a pretty good rule of thumb, I believe, the players that hit their irons and punch the ball are the ones that are the toughest to beat down the stretch. In Ryder Cup competition, the guys that learn to punch the ball and hit the ball this way, to me, those guys are the clutch players. They're the hustlers at your club. They're the club champions. And these people that have this pretty follow through like that, when the pressure's on, here's their shots. Boom. I don't know why, but I've seen that many, many times. So go with that low shot. That to me is the most important shot in my bag when I'm under pressure, because if I play it back in my stance and just sort of work the ball, I get it on the ground quickly. I know it's not going to go far offline, and it instills a lot of confidence, and you can't beat confidence. Let's focus now on how to hit the ball high. I actually do not play the shot that often because I don't see a big need for it. But occasionally you'll get a shot where you have to hit it over a tree. Maybe you're in the right rough and you got to hit it over a tree. or maybe there's a green that's harder than hard at a US Open and you just have to hit it high and soft to stop it, and maybe you can't do it with spin. So now the height of the ball has to be the important part because you're in semi-rough, and if you don't hit it high, it'll just, because you can't get any spin, it's going to go over the green. What you got to be careful of in the high shots is you got to make sure you have a pretty good lie, because when you start hitting the ball high, if the ball's sitting down, it's very difficult to do unless you're just got a strange kind of swing or got super power like John Daly. So when you're going to hit it high, don't even try to hit it high unless the ball is sitting up just a little bit, or maybe you got an uphill lie or at least a level lie. And so here's some little helpful hints that'll help you hit the ball higher than normal. Again, when you find your brush point, if it's right there, you can see where my brush is. Normally I would play it just where I have it here. If I want to hit it high, I probably can move the ball an inch, maybe even 2 inches farther forward. If it's on a tee, let's say on a par 3, and I can tee it up high, I can move it 3 or 4 inches forward if I wanted. I might pull it, but I can move it real forward. But if the ball's sitting normal, I'll move the ball, instead of my normal stance is right here, I'll move the ball about an inch farther forward. And of course that's going to hit the ball higher already, but it also is going to put my low spot about back here. So I got to make sure that I brush coming in there, and I don't want to hit it fat or thin. When you try to hit it high, the big problem is, of course, you could come in here and try to hit it high and you'll hit this shot. You'll hit it fat like that, and you don't want to do that. So what you want to do when you are hitting it high is try to come in there level and keep from hitting behind it. One way that Robert Gomez, I saw in an article he wrote, and it really made a lot of sense on hitting it high, is not only does he play it a little farther forward, just a titch farther forward. The minute he hits it, he goes for a super high follow through. Watch this. He gets right here, and he makes his arms go real high in the air, and you can see what a beautiful shot this is right here. Oh, almost landed in the hole. Thanks, Robert. That shot there works really well. What happens is I'm level till I get the club face on the ball, and the minute I make contact, almost what I feel like when the club is on the ball, I go real up, real high as I can, and it just helps the ball get up high. Greg Norman does a little bit of that with his follow through if you watch it. Another way that you can hit the ball high, if you got the back to do it, of course, is the reverse C, and you see a lot of young kids do this maneuver. Is they'll get in here and watch what my back does. Instead of riding level where I am now, see where I am straight here, as you get a little bit of this kind of swing. Watch this, and you let your hips slide out underneath you. Maybe I should be using this high shot more. They're going right on the pin. But the only trouble is if I hit about 5 balls that way, I got to take about 6 Advil to make up for it. But that will help on a specialty shot, as you let your hips get underneath you here, which tilts your spine and gets the ball shooting up real high right here. Maybe use the high follow through also. Another last way probably you can hit it high is right when you get the club on the ball, is you can sort of cup it up, and guys do that, of course, hitting lob wedges around the green, but that'll work real well also. I'll hit one that way just so you can see it. I'm doing it more with my hand action. So I get right here, and then I just cup it up. And that works pretty good too. I don't like doing that because there's so much timing, but some people hit that way. David Graham used to hit it that way, still does a little bit. And so those are some different ways to hit the ball high. You can experiment with it again. The main thing is make sure you brush that grass, don't hit it fat or thin, and try that, either the reverse C or the Gomez, or maybe the David Graham type style where you cup it up. And that'll help you getting it over those trees, or bring the ball down softer than normal, or maybe even hitting it high to ride the wind. And again, some handy shots on unusual situations.